Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is very exciting because I'm going to be going through my top 10 best books of 2025. So this is a video that I look forward to filming every year. I look forward to watching other people's every year. And I've read so many good books this year that it was kind of difficult to whittle it down to just 10. There are so many other good books that I can recommend. So I'm thinking of doing another video that kind of lets me talk about all of those as well. But for now, we're going to stick to the top 10. I have tried to rank them, but I do feel that if you ask me on a different day, they might be slightly different. But here's where we stand now. It's currently the 23rd of December. So let's just start at number 10. So we've got Reservoir Bitches by Dalia de la Cerda. This is a short story collection focusing on lots of different women in Mexico, ranging from the daughter of a cartel boss to the wife of a politician, and also lots of different women who are facing tragic circumstances. And the main thing that really ties this book together is the theme of violence against women and girls in Mexico, and the impact of that. I enjoyed every single short story in this collection. Some of them are interconnected, so a character that's mentioned earlier on might pop up again later, so I really liked that. The writing is very kind of gritty and dark and punchy, but there were also some that were really sad and gut-wrenching as well. And it was also longlisted for the International Booker Prize, so it is also recognised in that way as well. Next up at number 9, we've got something that is very reminiscent of like my previous reading, and it's We Are All Guilty Here by Karen Slaughter. So if you've watched me for any number of months or years, you'll probably know that I'm a big Karen Slaughter fan, and this book is the start of a new police procedural series that she's got, and we're following the female deputy chief, I think she is, of this small town. Her dad is the sheriff, and they start investigating the disappearance of these two teenage girls. One of these girls in particular does have a personal connection to our main character, so she's even more invested in it. And we're basically following their investigation, but also the wider town dynamics, the family drama, and I really enjoyed this one. There were multiple moments in this book where I was completely shocked. I don't think anyone would expect it to go where it went. I liked the reveals, I liked the characters and their relationships. There was loads of emotion, there was loads of darkness, and it's just exciting to have another Karen Slaughter series to get my teeth into. I absolutely adored the Grant County series. Will Trent I'm not as big of a fan of, but yeah, this one is really promising so far. At number 8 we've got a horror, and this is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Klewer. Following a couple who've just moved into this big isolated house in the countryside, I think. One day this family turn up at the front door, basically claiming that they used to live in that house and can they come in just for old time's sake to have a look around. But then basically the family just won't really leave, and it starts getting a little bit awkward, and then some creepy things start to happen. The reason why I love this one is because it genuinely scared me. It really terrified me. It features one of my favourite elements of horror, which always freaks me out. But now that I'm talking about it, I'm realising that I don't quite remember as much as I thought I did. So I'd maybe swap it with the Karen Slaughter one, but that might be a recency bias thing. Either way, everyone has loved this book. If you're interested in like a haunted house, but perhaps there's something a bit more going on, then definitely read this one. And then at number 7, we have a very similar kind of book. Instead, this one is called We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough. So the last one, We Used to Live Here, now we've got We Live Here Now. This is kind of similar in the sense that we've got another couple who are just moving to this new isolated house. So in this book, we're following alternate perspectives between the female and the male main character. It really reminded me of a classic thriller situation, a domestic thriller, but it also had some really scary haunted house descriptions. Like for some reason, I was really creeped out reading this book. Even something as little as hearing like footsteps on the ceiling while she was in bed. I could picture it so strong. I just really liked the writing in this. And if you've ever read a Sarah Pinborough, you'll know that she has a certain way of dealing with thrillers. I won't say anything too in detail, but she has like a special kind of pizzazz that she puts in there. And this book has a really good version of that. It reminded me of Behind Her Eyes, which she wrote, and it is one of my favourite thrillers of all time. And I just really liked how it came together and how it ended. And I've seen very mixed reviews for this. Maybe people just don't really like Sarah Pinborough's style, but when she does it right, I absolutely love it. And yeah, if you're after like a horror thriller mishmash, then definitely recommend this one. Next at number 5, we've got Of Cattle and Men by Ana Paula May. This one is translated from Spanish, I think, by Zoe Perry. So in this book, we're following our main character who's called Edgar, and he works in a slaughterhouse where they process cattle for meat, so cows. And his job is basically to stun the cows before they are then slaughtered. Basically, the cows just start acting a bit strange in this book. They're doing things that the staff working at the slaughterhouse don't understand. They think that there might be a predator that's targeting them, but Edgar thinks that there's something a little bit deeper going on. And this book is kind of all vibes, no plot. It's very atmospheric. It's set in Brazil, but it did remind me a lot of the like Southern American Gothic stories that I really like. And I just felt like I could have read so much about this world. It's one that I definitely want to reread just to kind of take it in again, because it's only really short, and I feel like there was probably a lot more like packed in here that I didn't understand on like my first read. But yeah, something about it was just really captivating to me. If you want something that's a bit more vibey, a bit more literary, then I would recommend this one. Another kind of vibey literary one at number 5 is These Things by Benjamin Myers. I'm not sure if this one is set in a specific time period, but it does feel quite historical. And it's set in Cumbria, which is like northern England in the Lake District area. And we're following this teenage girl who's run away with a baby. And we're also following a priest and a poacher who have set out to try and find them and bring them back. I really enjoyed the writing in this. It was very atmospheric. You get to meet quite a weird cast of characters, and I was really rooting for this girl, who is, I think, unnamed throughout. It gets very, very tense towards the end. Like, this cat and mouse between the girl and the priest and the poacher becomes very intense. There's some very dark, gory scenes, especially at the end. And it has one of the most shocking, brutal endings that I've read in a long time. I genuinely didn't know what to think of it when I finished it. And I did get my boyfriend to read this one as well, and he really enjoyed it. And he's since read quite a few of Benjamin Myers' books. So yeah, this was a bit of a surprise for me, but one that I really, really liked. Okay, so we're down to the final 4, and these are all the ones that I've given 5 stars, so the full 5. The first one, I'm really sad because I don't know where it is. I do have a physical copy of it, but we've not organised the bookshelf since we moved. We've just been dumping books and moving them around, so I'll just have to put a picture up. But this one is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This was a complete surprise. I thought this one would just be a fun Halloween kind of read, but I really loved it. In this book, we're following 2 young girls who've been friends for a long time. There's an incident in the woods where one of them goes missing, and when she comes back, she seems like she's possessed. I think I've previously described it as a mix between like Mean Girls, Jennifer's Body, and The Exorcist, because there's a lot of teenage drama in this, a lot of female friendship stuff. There were some parts which made me actually laugh out loud, which is unheard of. I was listening to the audiobook, and there's a part where there's like a very religious assembly going on at school, but it's full of like bodybuilders who are just raving about Jesus, and I literally couldn't stop laughing. But then there were also parts that really disgusted me. There's a part with like a worm that I cannot think about because it will make me ill. And then I cried at the end. So I literally went through like a massive range of emotions reading this. And I got to the end and I thought, I can't really think of anything negative to say about it. I had so much fun. I laughed, I gagged, I cried. It's got like a campy, silly feel to it, but it's also full of a lot of heart. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend this to anyone who likes horror. At number 3, we've got a non-fiction, and this is Into Thin Air by John Krakauer. So back in 1996, John Krakauer was part of an expedition that went up Mount Everest. And I think even to this day, what happened during his expedition is one of the biggest tragedies that Mount Everest has ever seen, where basically bad weather resulted in the deaths of multiple people, including some of the people and the guides that were on John's tour. So obviously we're following his sort of journey up Mount Everest and all of his personal account of what happened on the mountain. But then he also reflects on mountaineering in general and how it is such a risky and arguably quite a selfish sport to be involved in, where you put in such life-threatening situations and the effects that have on your family. He talks a lot about the Sherpas who live on Mount Everest, who are basically paid to help people get up the mountain. And they will carry lots of equipment and heavy bags. And he talks about how they can be exploited. But then in the edition that I read, he also reflects on a lot of the criticism that he faced at the time. But I just found this book so fascinating. I never would have thought that I would be interested in anything to do with Mount Everest. But I was hooked, and I was just constantly looking at facts and like things that had happened and like learning about mountaineering. I don't know, I've never wanted to read anything like that before, and I was just absolutely drawn in. I couldn't stop reading it, listening to it. I couldn't stop talking about it. And I cried multiple times, like, especially when we get into the parts where, you know, people that you've grown to sort of love throughout the book are faced with these horrific experiences on the mountain. I was literally sobbing. It was just heartbreaking, but it has faced its criticism. So if you do want to learn a little bit more before you wanted to pick this up, then feel free to do so. But I personally thought it was a very sort of honest and personal account of what happened. So yeah, I ended up having a very positive experience with it. At number 2 is my favourite horror book that I've read so far, and it's When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. The less said about this book, the better, plot-wise, but we're basically following a girl who works in a diner. She comes across a little boy, and somewhere along the way there's a wolf, basically. But it's not kind of what you think it is. It's not a book about a werewolf. It's such a unique story. I've never read anything like it. It was fast paced, but it looked at different characters and their dynamics. It was really sad. It was really funny. It gave me a little bit of existential crisis towards the end. It was just totally unique and like nothing I've ever read before. I think this is another one that made me laugh, gag and cry. The horror elements in this, there's a lot of like gory description, there's a lot of sadness. I think I shed a tear, I think I did. But it also has some really like goofy, weird elements to it that are just fun, and it's so fast paced, you never know where it's going to go, and it was just a lot of fun. And yeah, if you love horror, then you definitely need to read this one. I will almost guarantee that you will not be disappointed, and I've seen so many other people love this, so I feel like it's kind of universally loved, and I would definitely recommend you read it. So we're at the top spots. So this is my current favourite number 1 book of the year, and it's a non-fiction. So hopefully you're still in the mood for a non-fiction. This is Men Who Hate Women by Laura Bates. This book I feel has permanently changed me. We follow Laura, who has subjected herself to the depths of the manosphere online. Each chapter of this book looks at the different types of men in the manosphere. So we've got your incels that just hate women. We've got men who think they are like pickup artists who can get any woman by following a step-by-step guide. And the men who exploit other vulnerable men and get them to pay lots of money to do this. It goes into all sorts of different things that are terrifying and scary and just anger-inducing to the extreme. I was so mad reading this book because she mentions so many different quotes that are just so infuriating. But the way that she features them just highlights how idiotic they are and how misinformed. But she also has a bit of a softness to it where she recognises that a lot of these people are vulnerable, and the last chapter kind of looks into how we can change this and what we need to do to stop incel culture from becoming, well, it's still a huge thing, but becoming even more prevalent than it already is. And I think this is such a good book that everybody should read and just see how serious it is, that it isn't just an online community. This affects everything, and it's spreading out into real world violence. We've seen multiple massacres basically where they are using these incel rhetorics as justification, and it's so wrong. It's not recognised as terrorism, and it's not okay. So I would massively recommend this. But I will say that this book did put me in a deep sort of mood, a low mood. It was very depressing, and I did find it difficult to read just because of how icky it was. It's just awful to read, but she does such a great job. She's such a good writer, and I just agree with everything she says. I love her. But yeah, those were my top 10 favourite books of the year. Please do let me know what your favourite books of the year have been. I would love to know, and let me know if there's any of these books that you want to read now. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. It massively helps me, and do subscribe if you want to see more from me. I think this video is going up after Christmas, so I hope you had a lovely Christmas or lovely holidays in general. Hopefully you'll see me in my next video. Bye!